Sir, stop. Put down the shoe. I know you're hungry. I know you're busy. I know cooking can be intimidating. But our sponsor, Blue Apron, makes cooking so easy you don't have to eat your footwear. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. I love cooking, and when I was getting my chef legs, I was all over Blue Apron because it was easy and it was fun and I knew what I was doing. There was instructions. It was great. So what's on the new menu? Well, there's seared chicken and creamy pasta salad with summer squash and sweet peppers. Creamy shrimp rolls with quick pickles. I don't know. I've never heard of a quick pickle, but I'll tell you right now, I'm in. 100% I'm in. Sweet potato wedges and fresh basil fettuccine pasta with sweet corn and Cubanelle pepper. See, I cook a lot. I don't even know what Cubanelle pepper is, but it sounds good. If you don't like those items, they don't sound good to you, it's no big deal. You get to pick what Blue Apron sends you, so don't sweat it. There's tons of options. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Greggy. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Greggy. Blue Apron, a better way to cook, and you don't have to eat your shoe. Topic 4 is my topic. There is required reading that I will read aloud to all of you. But before that, I want to say thank you. Here are all the Patreon people who have supported us and done it. It's down there more. Yeah,
that guy.
There you go. There you go.
That
oh man!
It scrolls up.
Matthew Silverfish.
Wait, are we scrolling up?
Yeah.
We're scrolling up. He's making the magic happen.
All right. So I'm gonna read this. You don't need. This is if you want to read along. It's gonna be a long one to read.
Do you want to popcorn
so
it?
Stick with me, everybody. No, we're not popcorning. We're gonna be serious. So
is this like the intermission when we go pee?
If you need to, yeah. This is a long topic because it's a long speech here to read.
Okay.
But last night,
here's what I'm gonna do. I do need to go pee, so I'm gonna go pee, but I'm gonna read it while I pee.
Thank you. Well, you don't need to read ahead. It's just for like when we discuss it, you might need the paperwork. I'll still read it to you and the viewer and listener at home. So here's what's happened. Last night, Andy, I'm flying home from Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
I decide.
I was with you.
I know. But you don't know what I did in my seat.
Oh, do I want to know?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
So I start playing some games here and there. Try the Splatoon. Try Cave Story under your recommendation. Yeah. Doing all these different things, but it's one of those where I'm tired. It's been a long weekend of working, right? Nothing's hitting the spot to play. I'm like, how about some of that inactive entertainment? And I do the little Virgin America, swipe my card, get in. What movie do I want to watch?
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Pitiful movie selection this time around. Nothing I really want to watch. They got that Dog's Purpose movie in there.
That trailer played nonstop.
I don't need to fucking do this. I don't need to cry on this plane, ball on this plane next to my wife. Actually, next to my wife after she met my ex-wife. A story for another time. But I find 20th century women on this. You remember this trailer? No. Annette Bening. It's her movie. She's about her raising her son, and the trailer makes it seem like she's going to team up with these other 2 girls to raise the kid, right? And it's coming of age.
When did this come out?
70s story. I mean, it's a new release on rental, so within the past year. I'd seen the trailer enough though, because I go to Alamo so much. It's one of those A24 movies.
Oh.
And I was like, it looks interesting, but I don't know if I'll ever get out to see it. Watch this movie. Fall asleep during it, part of it. It's very much like, there's just some shit happening in our lives. And I'm like, all right, I'm fine with that. I like the characters enough to keep going. But at one point, they're doing this in the 70s. She's sitting there, she has all these people over, and they're watching a talk from one President, Jimmy Carter. And it's his speech. And it's the speech that would be known as the crisis of confidence speech. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Anybody familiar with this?
Negative.
All right, so it's on July 15th, 1979. It's this long speech, and it's pretty much the president saying to America, fucking get it together. Like, everything's fucked right now, and I need your help. I can't do it all alone, because they're having the energy crisis at this point, right? And people are still being wasteful with electricity, not doing their part, all this different shit. And not to mention, oil prices are going crazy. Yeah. There's the gas. There's all this crazy shit happening. So I've cut out sections from the front and the end here, right? So like I put ellipses in there. But I'm going to read some of this, and we're going to talk about it, okay?
Got it.
Here's where you strap in, kick up your feet, pour yourself a drink at home. If you're in the car, pour yourself a drink, but just be stealthy about it. Just be stealthy about it.
Road sodas.
But after listening to the American people, I have been reminded again that all the legislation in the world can't fix what's wrong with America. So I want to speak to you, first tonight about a subject even more serious than energy or inflation. I want to talk to you right now about a fundamental threat to American democracy. I do not mean our political and civil liberties. They will endure. And I do not refer to the outward strength of America, a nation that is at peace tonight everywhere in the world with unmatched economic power and military might. The threat is nearly invisible in ordinary ways. It is a crisis of confidence. It is a crisis that strikes at the very heart and soul and spirit of our national will. We can see this crisis in the growing doubt and growing doubt about the meaning of our own lives, and in the loss of a unity of purpose for our nation. The erosion of our confidence in the future is threatening to destroy the social and political fabric of America. The confidence that we have always had as a people is not simply some romantic dream or a proverb in a dusty book that we would read just on the 4th of July. It is an idea which founded our nation and has guided our development as a people. Confidence in the future has supported everything else: public institutions and private enterprises, our own families, and the very Constitution of the United States. Confidence has defined our course and has served as a link between generations. We've always believed in something called progress. We've always had a faith that the days of our children would be better than our own. Our people are losing that faith, not only in government itself, but in the ability as citizens to serve as the ultimate rulers and shapers of our democracy. As a people, we know our past and we are proud of it. Our progress has been part of the living history of America, even the world. We always believed that we were part of a great movement of humanity itself called democracy, involved in the search for freedom, and that belief has always strengthened us in our purpose. But just as we are losing our confidence in the future, we are also beginning to close the door on our past. In a nation that was proud of hard work, strong families, close-knit communities, and our faith in God, too many of us now tend to worship self-indulgence and consumption. Human identity is no longer defined by what one does, but by what one owns. But we've discovered that owning things and consuming things does not satisfy our longing for meaning. We've learned that piling up material goods cannot fill the emptiness of lives which have no confidence or purpose. The symptoms of this crisis of the American spirit are all around us. For the first time in the history of our country, a majority of our people believe that the next 5 years will be worse than the past 5 years. 2/3 of our people do not even vote. The productivity of American workers is actually dropping, and the willingness of Americans to save for the future has fallen below that of all other peoples in the Western world. As you know, there's a growing disrespect for government and for churches and for schools, the news media, and other institutions. This is not a message of happiness or reassurance, but it is true. It is the truth, and it is a warning. These changes did not happen overnight. They've come to us gradually over the last generation, years that were filled with shocks and tragedies. Ellipses. Looking for a way out of the crisis, our people have turned to the federal government and found it isolated from the mainstream of our nation's life. Washington, D.C. has become an island. The gap between our citizens and our government has never been so wide. The people are looking for honest answers, not easy answers. Clear leadership, not false claims and evasiveness in politics as usual. What you see too often in Washington and elsewhere around the country is a system of government that seems incapable of action. You see a Congress twisted and pulled in every direction by hundreds of well-financed and powerful special interests. You see every extreme position defended to the last vote, almost to the last breath, by one unyielding group or another. You often see a balanced and a fair approach that demands sacrifice, a little sacrifice from everyone, abandoned like an orphan without support and without friends. Often, you see paralysis and stagnation and drift. You don't like it, and neither do I. What can we do? First of all, we must face the truth, and then we can change our course. We simply have to have faith in each other, faith in our ability to govern ourselves, and faith in the future of this nation. Restoring that faith and that confidence to America is now the most important task we face. It is a true challenge of this generation of Americans. One of the visitors to Camp David last week put it this way: we've got to stop crying and start sweating. Stop talking and start walking. Stop cursing and start praying. The strength we need will not come from the White House, but from every house in America. We know the strength of America. We are strong. We can regain our unity. We can regain our confidence. We are the heirs of generations who survived threats much more powerful and more awesome than the challenges that face us now. Our fathers and mothers were strong men and women who shaped a new society during the Great Depression, who fought world wars, and who carved out a new charter of peace for the world. We ourselves are the same Americans who just 10 years ago put a man on the moon. We are the generation that dedicated our society to the pursuit of human rights and equality. We are the generation that will win the war on the energy problem, and in that process, rebuild the unity and confidence of America. We are at a turning point in our history. There are two paths to choose. One is a path I've warned about tonight, the path that leads to fragmentation and self-interest. Down that road lies a mistaken idea of freedom, the right to grasp for ourselves some advantage over others. That path would be one of constant conflict between narrow interests ending in chaos and immobility. It is a certain route to failure. All the traditions of our past, all the lessons of our heritage, all the promises of our future to another path, the path of common purpose and restoration of American values. Ellipses. Little by little, we can and we must rebuild our confidence. We can spend until we empty our treasuries, and we may summon all the wonders of science, but we can succeed only if we tap our greatest resources, America's people, America's values, and America's confidence. Which path do we take? And that was after another. Oh, no, that's me. I'm sorry. Then there's more to the speech, but again, it's about what's happening in the moment. Now, to be clear, going back to where this all spawns from, I watched a movie and it popped up, right? It was literally 2 seconds of there where he's like, it's a crisis of confidence. Yep. You know what I mean? And it's reflected then with Annette Bening's character being surrounded by these other people, and the other guys are all like, he's fucked. Like, they don't say something like he's done or whatever, but like, he's never gonna be he can't come back from this. And she's the only person in the room who's like, that was beautiful. You know what I mean? And for me, that one snippet I thought was as well. So to go get this, I wanted to just read it last night, watch the speech myself. Jumping in and reading it, my question is, it doesn't sound like we took the right path. Unless I'm wrong. This is 1979, and it seems like it could apply as much today as it did then in terms of everything that's wrong with us, right? But to go back to the fact of where he's talking about there's these two paths, right? Like, we can either continue down this selfish route, or we can start worrying about each other again and what America is. I think that, a year later, a little bit more, right, on the 4th of November, as elections usually happen, 1980, he gets fucking routed by Reagan. Like, I've always, and this is the thing, is like, not being born in that era, you go through American history, and I even feel like once you get past, like, Kennedy, American history is very much like, and some shit happened, and at least when I was growing up. So to get into the weeds of looking at this, like, I always knew that people didn't like Carter at the time, and blah, 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 and then Reagan comes in. Reagan cleans his clock, 489 electoral votes to 49, like, just dominates him, right? So it's even there, it's like, he talks about in this speech that they don't want easy answers, they want honest ones. And I feel like what spoke to me about this was watching this man deliver this speech in a movie and then watching it later, is the fact that it's so heartfelt. And he's also so much at the end of his rope in terms of like, I'm the president and I'm fucking trying here. I'm trying to get this shit. If he could curse, that's what it would be. Like, right, or I'm fucking trying to get this shit off the ground. I need you to meet me halfway. Yeah. And I don't think anybody did. And I think it got glossed over. And then Reagan comes in because he talks about self-indulgence, right? He talks about all this different stuff. He is giving this warning that then becomes the 80s. The 80s are the time of excess. They are the time of, look at this fucking awesome cell phone and then the crazy ass neon and all, you know what I mean?
Ferraris.
Like, exactly. And it's the, Wall Street and all that jazz where it's like, it really becomes that Republican Party, or at least that version of America, that conservative America, that Ronald Reagan era that is like, so beloved when you look back at it, but I think it puts us on a track to this, like where we are now.
I think it even just splits everything in half. That's just how things go. Like, even in the speeches, you see every extreme position defended to the last vote, almost to the last breath by one group or another. And I think that him giving the warning, I think that it's not so much that no one listened. I think half the people listened, if anything, and that's a generalization. But yeah, there are people that are out there fighting to make sure that things are being shared. It's kind of when you look at where we're at today. It's like there are people that are like, you have to do it for yourself and it's all about you. And then there are people that are like, no, everything you do should be for the good of everyone. And like, let's help everyone rise up. And I feel like these type of speeches are important to at least make you think, no matter what side you're on, about where you stand and what you should be doing. It's interesting though, because like hearing you read all of this, like a lot of it does sound kind of trite to me, but I guess that's just because of, I grew up in a world post this, I grew up in a world where this speech had already affected whatever people it affected to do the things that they did.
Yeah. My question would be though, did it?
It just sounds like it must have. This speech just could have been read like, like you mentioned, like a year ago.
And that's the thing that's like alarming to me, is the fact that I'm always the guy, right, who for the longest time in this show, when politics come up and we talk about it, I feel like we've lost the ability to talk to each other. You know what I mean? I feel like there was a time of bipartisanship, and there was a time where it wasn't all just get me fucking elected, get me elected, and then stagnation of this. And here we are in 1979, and it's saying, I think, the same problems we see right now with legislation.
But see, I would argue even the other way, where it's like, I feel like this speech could also have been made 30 years earlier.
Right. So, I mean, has politics always been fucked?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of the point, right? Like, I think that it's like them being fucked's not the point, but them being fucked is a reality. Like I think that it's a competition, and the competition has so many different rules and so many different games, and it evolves over time that it always is going to be a battle of ideologies, and there's no way that everyone's ever going to agree on anything, whether it's what's the best ice cream flavor or something that actually really matters. It's
like
like
Batman vs Superman, a good movie.
Well,
yeah, there's no way.
We know.
But like that, there's still going to be people that will fight and say it's a good movie. You know?
Well, because they're right.
I mean, that's whatever.
They're all wearing T-shirts.
Yeah,
say it.
They all bought shirts. That kind of.
But I just think that that's why politics exists, is because there needs to be a system in place for different ideologies to disagree and for one of them to be the winner at the end of the day. And I think that the reason we have the systems in place of how long presidents are allowed and how long the houses and Senate are allowed to be in it is because they're trying to make sure that it's like we are constantly reevaluating, giving a chance for these discussions and debates to happen and then move forward from there. But yeah, that does allow, or it does force a lot of not progression because only some of the things are being done, and you need all the things to be done on the left to get the left plan in place, or all the things on the right to get the right. But where we're at, it's like, well, they won this, they won that. So we're just getting this weird thing where this is always going to be true.
Stuck in the middle all the time.
But I hate that, Andy. I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to look back and have things be better than they were. And you know, I put one of the ellipses in there where he's like, we faced so much in the last decade, and he goes into like, you know, the assassination of Kennedy and Dr. King. And I really feel like that's where the idealized American democracy died, if that makes sense. Where I think from there on out, it was like Kennedy was like, you know, people thought he was going to be the golden boy and fix every stuff, and we're going to get him on the moon. And granted, the Cuban Missile Crisis is in there and stuff to that effect. But I feel like as soon as then you bring in Lyndon Johnson, I feel like he's like the old, like rustic, cranky white guy from Texas, right? And that kind of like sets you on this path of like, well, this is what politics is. And then you get, I mean, like, I guess the weirdest thing about this is, watching this video and reading this speech, I want to hug Jimmy Carter so bad. Yeah. And I've never given a fucking, I've never known anything about Jimmy Carter beforehand, really, other than he was a one-term president and people didn't really like him. But clearly he had the deck stacked against him, and it goes into the whole hostage crisis and stuff like that would then come after him and then get Reagan in there so easy. I don't know.
I just don't know how divided we were at that time if he got trounced that badly by Reagan.
Well, the thing was, like, I think for Jimmy Carter, and I'm not a Jimmy Carter scholar, but you know, like Jimmy Carter promised one thing, and I think this speech is indicative of like not being able to deliver on that, like whether it was like his fault or not, like he couldn't deliver. And I think just with how politics works, like Reagan comes in, promises the moon, the sun, and the stars, and like you're always going to go for like I think the people went for what was promised rather than what wasn't, what they felt wasn't currently working. And then, you know, like you had your own problems for the Reagan era, and it was just sort of this like cycle of politics of like being promised something that can't be delivered.
Yeah,
I think you need to be VP for The Rock in 2020.
I do.
Have you seen that campaign?
Yeah, I saw that. They filed something with the Federal Trade Commission or whoever it is. The campaign.
The Brahma Bull.
Them talking about there's the first generation where it's like you don't think that your kids are going to have a better life than you. I think that might be the one thing that's, I mean, again, it is 50-50, but it's like, I do believe that no matter how shitty we are now, like things are going to work out. And it will be better for my kids than it is for me.
You think so?
I do.
I hope so, but I don't know. I mean, I don't. I also, like you're saying, I'm not a scholar. I don't watch this. But it also is the weird thing of like the whole thing with the Trump presidency right now. And granted, it's hyperbole everywhere on everything. It's so hard to get, again, the facts and how much. But like, so the stories you hear, what's happening and the Russian stuff, and you know, Ivanka sitting at or Ivana. It is Ivanka. He married Ivana, then had Ivanka, right?
No,
other way around.
His daughter is Ivanka.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he had married Ivana. Whatever. His daughter's sitting at the global leader, the G20 meeting and all this different stuff. And it's those questions of just like, I assume none of this is that bad, because shouldn't he have been bounced by now if that was that bad? You know what I mean? We're talking about impeachment, but it isn't happening because I would assume it's not happening because there isn't enough blood to get it to go, right? And like that's the whole thing of just like, I don't know what the hell's going on over there. But it's also the thing of like what we talked about leading into it, of the fact of even if he's going to be a bad president, how bad can he really make it? What power does the presidency really have? It is the normal thing of like, well, the other nations are laughing at us. Like the whole report from the G20 thing was like, you know, and like other nations don't even want to talk to him because he won't, you know, talk about anything but his own stuff, and he has these talking points and he won't get off of that. So why even bother hanging out with him or anything like that? I don't know. It's just, I wanted to look back, and this speech to me, I'm like, okay, let's go see it and watch it and read it. It's like, man, I feel for Jimmy Carter being out there like, hey, something's fucked up, and then it is Reagan coming in and being like, were you off? Or are you better now than you were 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And then of course being in some respects like I think Trump, where he's like he's a celebrity. He comes in, and granted he's been governor of California already, but I mean to come in and be a celebrity and be like you're saying, promise everything that he's going to fix it, and then the economy does bounce back. He does this hostage thing. He does a bunch of stuff, but
yeah. The speech was sampled in a Lil Wayne song.
Which one?
President Carter.
Oh yeah. Was
Lil
it positive?
Wayne's last name
was
is
it
Carter?
Oh, was it? So it wasn't about Jimmy Carter?
No, but it just in the chorus it was like President Carter, President Carter, just his name over.
Sure.
Can we overdub that song?
I did a pretty good job. It might just
okay,
automatically connect.
You think we can get Jimmy Carter on this show to hug him? Because you know when he flies domestic, and when he does, he shakes every hand of the person on the plane.
Everybody's hand. That's right.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of photos and videos of that on the internet.
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy. Seems like he got a raw deal here.
It's just like
I need to learn more about.
You're a lot of germs, Jimmy. Like, let's be real here.
That's what you're doing. That's why he's keeping his immune system up.
Yeah, the people at the back of the plane are like, "Oh fuck."
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
It's weird to hear this though, because it definitely comes off, and I know that this is the point, but it comes off a little bit where I'm like, dude, you figure it out. Like, don't fucking. This just sounds like you're putting this on us, and I get the.
But you're all in it together, Tim. That's the point.
And I get it, but it's just like it does sound like a throwing in the towel type situation where, and I know that they need the help and there needs to be something to motivate people. I just think that going back to like the advertising and marketing thing, to me, this doesn't make me go like, all right, I'm going to actually do what you're telling me to do and work together. This doesn't motivate me to.
It doesn't make me shocked that he lost. Like, I mean,
no, not at all.
Yeah,
but I mean,
like it's obvious that like this is a cry for help and like, hey, I've lost control. So why would anybody want to vote for him again?
I suppose more of like you're not meeting me halfway.
Yeah,
right? Like you know the power of the president is in place to him from the people, and I think after you have an election, like it's two sides very much against each other, and it's the president's job after the election to unite those two sides.
Yeah.
So like when Jimmy Carter's in a situation like that, I feel like. Yeah, man, like that's a tough way. That's a tough position to be in to try to unite two sides.
Definitely. And I just think that there is and this is a shitty thing to say, but there's a difference between blaming someone and guilting them into doing something. And I feel like this is blaming instead of guilting them.
I guess one of the things I like so much about this speech is that I feel like it's so honest. In the way that, and don't get me wrong, it's not the right move necessarily. It's not the power move. Chances are, before you even think about saying this, the writing's on the wall that you're going to get your clock clean. You know what I mean? That you're not coming back and do this. Because he almost lost to Ted Kennedy in terms of the primary coming back. I understand that. So I don't know. I appreciate the honesty above all else of just like, you're all saying this, but I really need your help to do any of the things you're saying. You know what I mean? I respect that. I respect Jimmy Carter a lot more.
At any point, when in his life did he say, like, I'm going to keep hoping that people call me Jimmy? Didn't he ever want to be called Jim? Like, because Jimmy's like a kid thing.
Hey, got him elected.
Yeah,
a kid thing, cool. Jiminy
Jimmy
Cricket.
Carter has a balance to it, man. I will say.
Jiminy Cricket is not Jimmy.
I hate you.
Jiminy Cricket is a very different name.
Ain't that right, Timmy Gettys?
I went by Timmy for a long time.
See, like Jimmy Neutron, he's probably Jim Neutron by now.
Jimbo.
No way, you don't give up that brand recognition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, that's got SEO on it. It's got the SEO stank. Yo, Andy, it's about page ranking. You know this. Like, I battle it out day by day with Vernon Lordenshaw, the former now deceased president of the Dominican Republic.
Really?
Yeah, he's got me beat. He's got me.
But for how long? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's not making
we're
new
working our way up.
content.
Well, just say Vernie.
Yeah.
Vernie.
Yeah, Vernie Shaw.
Remember Vern?
No, man. The thing is, like, it's been my life goal. I used to hate the name Vernon. And now I love it because like like you're not competing as many people for the search rankings, of course, obviously, but also like, oh man, it's my life goal to make Vernon a cool name again.
It's a cool name.
You're gonna have to keep working.
I'm gonna have to keep working on it because like I'm not getting a lot of help out there.
When you were growing up, did kids call you Vern because Ernest goes to camp? Because Ernest remembered, hey Vern.
It was just any shortening of the name, so it was like Vernon and then Vern and then I thought I got to V in high school and I was like I like that. That wasn't the worst nickname.
Okay.
Vernon the Midnight Oil.
Yeah.
Let's do something.
No, my Tumblr is Vern after reading.
Oh, so. Very cool. Very cool.
Vernon Ball.
Yeah.
Like Cannonball.
Okay. Well,
if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the GameOverGreggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny where you can get each and every episode early. How early, Tim? as early as we record them for just $1. You can get them live. You know what I'm saying, man?
I do know what you're saying.
All right,
I had
cool.
no idea. I was
Vernon
just
ball.
blank.
Yeah.
Vernon truck, like fire truck.
But Vernon.
Fucking shit, man.
If you don't want to pay us any money, it's no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny where we put the show up topic by topic, day by day, until it goes up as one big MP3 and video the following Friday. Vernon,
Hey,
we love you.
thank you.
Thank you for
for
coming
having
by.
me. Thank you for having me and
coming
Layton on,
by.
man.
No
Appreciate
problem.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Hey, Layton, how are you? You want
Thanks,
to come on?
Layton.
Come on and say goodbye.
say goodbye.
Yay.
Buy the game. Buy the game.
Thank you. Yeah,
Buy
please.
the game.
Dream. I always screw up the whole thing.
DreamDaddy.biz.
That's
all you gotta know.
that's all I gotta say.
That's all you gotta know.
Or
DreamDaddy.biz.
www.google.com/
Dad game, Vernon.
Yeah, that
Naked pics
like
of
hot-
Vernon
hot-
Shaw.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, probably.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Until next time, it's been our pleasure
You don't have
to
to
serve
creep
you.
off camera. Say later.
Creep off camera. Thanks for watching, everybody. Click here to subscribe. Click down there to go to Patreon and support us when we need your help. We love you very much. Click over here. You can watch other episodes of the GameOverGreggy show. Please go watch the Anaceo one I did. I love it quite a bit. And then down there, you can click and go see Kinda Funny Games. What are they up to? Party mode, you say? What's that? It's the show we hired Andy for that you need to watch, or I swear to God, I'll kill Andy.